Queen Lucy by Madeline K. Lomvardias.
A dark and gloomy port with massive decaying ships and docks covered in filth. A chained procession is entering the stage. There is all manner of people in the procession, and they are loudly shouting and crying. Some scream in terror as they are surrounded on either side by demons who jeer at them. One demon, with the appearance of a man, stands before the scene holding a clipboard. He silences them and begins speaking.
Welcome, thieves, murderers, liars, hypocrites! Welcome, sinners! You have arrived at your predestination. You are in hell.
A series of shrieks arises from surrounding demons cheer and jump up and down.
Settle down! Settle down! Settle down! I know this is all very exciting, but you must try to contain yourselves. We have to wrap up your orientation before the next ship arrives, and it's a very long orientation, mind you. Now then, I would like to start by clarifying that the way to heaven is long and narrow, so you shouldn't feel too bad about making the cut. You should probably feel a little worse about not getting into purgatory. And because you have supposedly been properly laid to rest, you weren't fortunate enough to continue haunting the earth. But when all is said and done, you've got fourth place. And remember, life isn't about winning anyway. It's about enjoying the ride. So, I do hope you enjoyed your short and meaningless Earth life, 'cause you'll never get another one. Unless you're Hindu or Buddhist. If you're either of those faiths, you can file an application for reincarnation after a few centuries of torment in accordance with your faith. But apart from this, there will be no exceptions. Since hell has now become your permanent and everlasting home, I'd like to familiarize all of you with this layout. As you can see, you have traveled here on the river Styx.
A man from the procession begins clamoring about after being poked rudely by a demon.
Get off me! Get off me, you disgusting fiend! This is entirely unacceptable. I want to speak to the man in charge. I demand to speak to your employer.
Please, calm down, sir. Fur was just trying to be friendly. He's a very touchy-feely sort of guy.
Well, I am not. I want to speak to the man in charge.
Is there a problem, Charon?
Not at all, Miss Lucy. Everything is under control. Now then.
Yes, as a matter of fact, there is a problem. I am totally unimpressed with the level of service here. It's a complete abomination.
Yes, we're very accustomed to abominations down here.
Where I come from, hosts treat their guests with honor and respect. Now, where is the man in charge?
You're looking at her.
You?
You got a problem with that?
I have a problem with your waiting area. You see, I'm not supposed to be here.
Are you Catholic?
How do you know that?
That's what all the Catholics say. Continue.
I know there must have been some mistake with the paperwork. They must have given my spot in heaven away to some lookalike or a man with a similar name. I'm a good Catholic, I swear.
But are you a good person?
Excuse me?
I asked if you were a good person.
Of course I am. What's that supposed to mean?
Taking a hold of his tie and examining the cufflinks on his sleeve.
You're also a good businessman, I suppose?
Well, yes.
Lucy drops the tie.
Then you're not a good person.
Look, lady.
Lucy grabs the clipboard from Charon and looks it over.
You work for North American gas and oil providers?
Yeah.
Are you aware your company's practices are dangerous to the environment?
My company operates within the confines of the law and is in total compliance with federal regulation.
You're still destroying God's creation. I'm sure he didn't take that too well, especially if your excuse is that you operate by man's law. You see, Mr. O'Hara, God loves Earth. He's obsessed with it. He carved out every mountain, lake, and river. He planted the first trees and gave life to every living creature. And he appointed man his stewards of creation. You did a shit job, Martin.
Lucy returns the clipboard to Charon.
Okay, just because the company I work for
God doesn't like excuses. If his perfect little boy, Jesus, could live a sinless life, so can everybody else in his book.
But that's not fair.
Life isn't fair. God isn't fair. Hell isn't fair. Get the fuck used to it.
Wait. You didn't even tell me your name.
Which would you prefer? I have hundreds of names.
I don't understand.
Some call me Satan. Some call me Hades. Some call me Devil. My friends call me Lucy.
Lucifer?
Exactly.
You're not what I expected.
I think you'll find hell quite a bit different from your expectations.
A great mead hall. Objects from every time period and culture are present in the room. The tables are adorned with a feast of mangled raw flesh and thorns. The tables include fountains of blood for wine. There is no silverware or dishes other than mugs, cups, and glasses for drinking. The people and demons are seated and standing in the hall loudly and voraciously tear into their food with their hands, claws, and teeth. It is incredibly loud with the sound of yelling, fighting, talking, growling, and cackling. In the back of the hall, an out-of-tune band plays a lively jazz song, fitting of the scene's chaos. At the end of the center table sits Martin, still in shackles and with a disgusted look on his face. Lucy sits at the front of the hall at a long table perpendicular to the other tables. At her table sits a small group of demons who are well-groomed and wear an ornate outfits and jewelry. Lucy sits in the center of this table on a thorn of black stones, precious stones and metals. Candlelit chandeliers covered in cobwebs swing from the ceiling. From Lucy's table, the demon Beelzebub stands and lets out a lion's roar, which silences the hall.
Tonight, we feast to Shalyn. Tonight, we drink to lost souls. And tonight, we honor the horseman. And tonight, we give thanks to Lucifer, who led us from our lives of misery to lives of purpose and fulfillment, who transformed hell to a single-minded civilization of like-minded individuals who will not go silent into the good night. Hurrah!
Hurrah!
There is a pause as the sound of Martin's laughing penetrates the air. All heads turn towards the dissenter.
As if hell were some great utopia. Good God.
Lucy takes the spear from a standing demon and approaches Martin. Other demons scatter from his table as Martin continues obstinately. He stops when he is kicked from the table and lands sprawled out on the floor. Lucy begins circling him and the demons gather, grimacing.
We have a newly arrived Catholic in our midst. Don't hiss. After all, the Catholics are more pagan than we are. Oh, they're a pretentious bunch with their one true church and Latin gibberish. But for all their holiness, they are the furthest from God. They know nothing of him. They carry their crucifixes, their rosaries, their sacred heart of Jesus and sacred heart of Mary, and forget that God commanded, they shall have no other God. They love the saints, the very saints who were murderers and missionaries, who crusaded in God's name, but left the earth with nothing but full pockets and trails of blood. Did you think bread and wine would save your sorry soul? Did you think bowing your head and thoughtlessly regurgitating predetermined responses in Mass would win you points in heaven? Did you think some old quack all your troubles and saying a few Hail Marys would earn you mercy? I pity you, poor Christian. You laugh at us as if you are better. But truly, you are more at home here than you were on earth or would be in heaven.
Lucy gives back the sphere to its owner.
You do not belong to God anymore. He has thrown you down below his feet to be squashed like a bug. And do you know the only thing that has saved you from his vengeance?
What?
Me. I have created peace in hell. That which has never been and never will be established on earth. I have established laws to protect the individual, that which would never be tolerated in heaven. And I have mercifully taken the likes of you, that which your own creator cannot stomach.
This is all just a mistake. I will see heaven. I know it.
No, Mr. O'Hara. Heaven is not for your eyes, but you will see hell. I will meet you at dawn at the tree of the dead.
A bedchamber. Lucy sits at a vanity, brushing her hair. Beelzebub stands at the door.
Lucy, may I enter? Lucy, may I enter?
Of course, Beelzebub. I thought the feast went well. The band was a bit out of tune, but somehow it seemed appropriate. What did you think?
What are you planning?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. What are you taking an interest in that Catholic?
I just want our resident to feel at home.
You're showing special treatment. I wish to know why.
I just have a feeling about him, is all.
A feeling, okay, right. So you're choosing to neglect your position in favor of entertaining a human.
Hell can go a day without me.
No. You cannot shove off your duty to hell to show off to a human whenever you like. You know, it's irresponsible and it sets a bad example.
Hell is stable. I can take a day off if I feel like it.
And so what about when a week becomes 2 weeks, 40 days?
Don't go there. Don't
Yeah.
you dare.
Yeah, you're behaving exactly like you were when you went after Jesus.
I am not! It's an entirely different circumstance. I'm not leaving hell. I'm just going to the other levels.
And do you really think that it's wise to leave Elysium Fields? Have you forgotten the last time you went to Niflheim?
That was forever ago. I wasn't rational then. I'm fine now. I can handle it.
Listen, Martin O'Hara is not worth your attention. You must stop getting attached to humans. You must stop going out of your way to show them the truth of the fallen. Either they must stand with us or against us. And the Catholic is against us.
He's just ignorant. I can teach him.
Teach him. Teach him like you taught Adam. Or like how you taught Jesus. Lucy. You are many things, but you are not a teacher. Just let the Catholic be. He will either learn our ways and he will stay in the fields, or he'll do something foolish and land in lower levels of hell.
I said I would meet him at dawn, so I will. If something happens, I will accept the consequences.
You are making a mistake.
You're supposed to support me.
I do support you. I just worry about you, little sister.
Well, you don't need to worry. I'm not the idealistic, foolish angel I used to be. I've grown up, Beelzebub.
And I know. Listen, I'm proud of you. Yet I must urge caution. It worries me to see you distracted by this human. All of hell rests on your shoulders. You must not fail us.
I won't fail.
Martin approaches Lucy, who stands beneath the great tree. Its bark is black, and ripe red fruit hangs from its branches. The tree has notes of purple, pink, and silver. Its branches twist and turn strangely.
You came. I wasn't sure you would. How is your shoulder?
Fine. No thanks to you.
I couldn't allow you to insult our society in my hall, especially during the feast of Samhain.
Samhain? That's Halloween. I died in February.
Time works a little differently here. It's part of a deal I struck with heaven that greatly improved our circumstances and allowed us to establish order in hell.
Why would you want to change time?
When you have all eternity stretched out before you, you want it to go by as quickly as possible. Keeps people from getting cranky and impatient.
Wait. If it's already past Halloween, that means I've missed my son's birthday. He turned 11 in July. I was going to take him water skiing.
Lucy reaches up into the tree branches and plucks a pomegranate. She offers it to Martin.
Here. It takes off at the edge of the pain.
Wait a minute. I know this one. The pomegranate. Isn't that part of that Greek myth about Persean or something?
Persephone. She ate 6 seeds of the fruit and had to remain in hell 6 months of the year, causing her mother to establish the seasons of winter and summer.
This is a trick. You're trying to trap me in this horrid place. Well, it won't work. I know my God will send for me. This is all just a mistake.
Lucy sighs and takes a large bite. The juice drips down her mouth and hands, red as blood. Martin stumbles back.
It is true that those who eat the fruit are tethered to the tree, but it does not matter. God has abandoned you as he has abandoned us all.
She drops the fruit to the ground and wipes her mouth and hands with a handkerchief.
No, that's not true. You'll see, it's not. How can there even be a tree of death? It doesn't make sense.
There was a tree of life. Why shouldn't there be a tree of death?
But a tree is a plant, and plants are alive. So how could there be a tree of death if that said tree is alive?
An interesting question. You're either a philosopher or a fool. I'm leaning towards fool. I could use a new fool. I let the last one go for dyeing my favorite hellhound's fur blue. It took months to wash it all out.
I am not a fool.
The fool doth think he is wise, but the wise man doth know he is a fool. William Shakespeare.
Huh. The devil recites Shakespeare. Who'd have guessed it?
Well, I ought to be able to. Will was my last fool. All right, enough banter. It's time we get going.
Lucy grabs him and begins dragging him away from the tree.
Hey, where are we going?
I said I show you hell, so I will. This way.
Lucy and Martin stand in the center of what appears to be a hallway of cubicles. The whole scenery is gray and lit with harsh fluorescent lights. Behind the cubicles come sounds of incessant typing, beeping, ringing of phones, and answering of phones. The voice heard answering the phones are lifeless, and their speech sounds tense, scripted, and unnatural.
Hello, you have reached the Office of Demonic Affairs. How can I help you? I'm sorry, our offices do not handle exorcisms. We advise you to speak to your local priest. Hello, you have reached the Office of Demonic Affairs. How can I help you? Have you tried turning it off and back on again?
Where are we?
The offices of demonic affairs. The second level of hell.
Hell has levels?
Yes, 7 to be exact.
Oh, like that guy wrote about. What's his name? Dante.
Yes, Dante Alighieri. Back then, there were 9 levels. Hell merged some levels together and redecorated quite a bit since Dante came for a tour. We started on the first level, Elysium Fields. The majority of souls dwell on the first level in relatively tolerable conditions. We have a structured society based on a code of laws, and those who can remain within the confines of these laws are allowed to remain on the first level. For each crime committed, points are allotted to that individual. When one reaches a certain number of points, they're sent to the next level down. Each level gets worse as you go down, and there is no coming back up.
You don't factor in crimes committed before death?
No, I believe in second chances.
Wouldn't have expected that from you.
Can you imagine what I would have given for a second chance?
Martin looks uneasy. Lucy walks forward through the hall. The cubicle closest to the edge of the stage slowly turns to reveal its interior. A gray-skinned man with short black hair and big black empty eyes sits at a desk. His suit and tie are completely gray, and his lips are pure white. He types at a keyboard with long, white, skeletal-like fingers. The sight of him frightens Martins, and he stumbles backward into the hall.
Be careful. You don't want to aggravate it.
What is it?
A man. His name was Edward Wicker. In life, he was a politician. In death, he dismembered the soul of a fellow sufferer. He's been down here for some 300 years. 8 more points on his record, and he'll be sent to level 3.
Lucy walks on, and they stand on a dark, empty stage.
Lucy?
Loud, obnoxious carnival music is heard. The scenery is set up like the interior of a circus tent. But instead of clowns and show people, the stage is littered with well-groomed young men in white shirts, black ties, and black pants. They walk around with half-crazed smiles plastered on their faces. Lucy pushes Martin off of her, who has been clutching her arm.
Sorry. What is this place?
The Mormon Circle. We must be very careful in this part of hell. It is by far the most unusual.
Lucy walks to a popcorn stand and purchases a large bag. They sit on a bench and eat while watching circus acts being performed and watched by Mormons.
Why do Mormons have their own part of hell? And why a circus?
God has conflicting opinions on Mormons. He likes them, but they're a little much for him. We were asked some time ago to create a haven for them in hell that wouldn't be miserable. It wasn't easy. Finally, we decided to convert our 3rd level into a circus. Here, Mormons can explore every activity forbidden to them on earth, because there are no rules in an eternal circus. This way, we can pacify the Mormons and torment damned souls of the 3rd level simultaneously.
How do they torment the non-Mormons?
A cover is lifted from a cage containing some convoluted form of humanity. A crowd of Mormons cheer and hoot.
You don't want to know.
As the cage is unlocked by a Mormon, Lucy takes Martin's hand and pulls him off the bench. The stage goes black and quiet very suddenly. There is a time skip between this scene and the last. Martin comes grasping onto the stage and falls down face forward. He has obvious marks of strangulation on his throat. Lucy follows behind him calmly.
No more. No more. Take me back. Back to level 1.
I told you not to engage the specimens.
Not just that. All of it. The circus, the furnace, the office, the room with the long spoons, and worst, solitary confinement. It's horrible. It's horrendous. It's
Hellish?
Yes. Take me back. Please.
But we're so close to the end. We've arrived at the last stop. This is the door to Niflheim.
Martin sees the backdrop and immediately becomes captivated. He reaches towards it and his hand freezes. He retracts his hand and looks at Lucy.
Yes. The deepest and the worst part of hell is frozen over. Did you know cold does not exist? Scientifically speaking, cold is merely defined as the absence of heat, just as darkness is the absence of light. It's funny. Theologists have speculated about hell for ages, and there are some who believe hell is merely the absence of God, a realm beyond God's power, proof that he is not truly omnipotent. If only it weren't so damned cold. Would you like to go in for a minute, just to see what it's like?
No, thank you, ma'am.
Are you sure? It's sure to be a death-changing experience.
A what?
Well, I would call it a life-changing experience, but that wouldn't be very appropriate in your case.
What about you?
Well, I'm not dead. I'm just fallen.
Are you sure you're not both?
Yes. You're both dead and fallen. I'm just fallen.
If you can be in hell being fallen and not dead, why can't I be in hell being dead and not fallen?
That's hardly a reasonable assumption, and your logic is faulty. It is as easy as anything for a man to fall, but do you know what it takes to kill an angel?
What does it take?
I don't know, and I'd rather not find out.
Will you take me back now? I want to leave this place.
I don't believe you.
What do you mean you don't believe me?
You say you want to leave, but you haven't taken your eyes off it. You're leaning towards the door, your pupils have dilated, and your breath is slow and steady. You can't deny that there is some part of you that desires this. Curiosity. God might call it a mistake, but I think it's the most beautiful part of humanity. Curiosity has led your people beyond what we ever imagined you were capable of. My brothers and I used to think that man was so small, and yet curiosity has led you to the depths of hell. Surely you won't deny you were expecting this when you met me at the tree?
I don't know what I expected.
Of course not. But you had some idea. When the devil takes you to the tour de hell, it would be ridiculous to imagine anything less than what I've already shown you. Human curiosity is morbid. Believe me. Every level of hell until now was envisioned by a human soul. I merely followed their orders in the construction of them.
I want to leave.
Very well. Turn away from the door through your own free will, and I will take you back to level 1. There's nothing but your own curiosity pulling you towards it. It has no gravity, no magnetic field. All it takes is the choice and an action to follow it through. Choose wisely. Perhaps you're not a fool after all, but you're certainly not a philosopher. A philosopher would have run in head first. I think a third of the souls in Niflheim are philosophers who asked to go in and never came out again. I do hope they're okay. Come, we'll go back now.
Lucy takes Martin's hand. The tree of death. Lucy releases Martin's hands, and it dangles there as he stares blankly in front of him.
I think I'll take that fruit now.
You can't have it now.
But why?
The tree blooms at dawn and dies by evening. You'll have to wait. Sit, the midnight service has begun.
What?
For the love of Babylon, just sit.
Lucy sits beneath the tree and pulls Martin down so that he sits. A procession enters from the back of the theater and walks in the aisles among the audience. There are people and demons of all class, creed, race, and ethnicity. They come carrying in a myriad of religious symbols and candles, and they all chant.
What is this?
This is the interfaith prayer service. They're here to worship.
Worship you? Oh.
Satanic worship is outlawed in a hell.
What?
Close your mouth, Martin. You'll catch gorgon flies.
Not you. Who do they worship?
These people are polytheistic. They believe their gods still have influence over their existence. They ask them for good fortune, to guide their living relatives to paradise. And some believe their gods will save them from the tyranny of the Creator. This is by far the greatest wonder of hell. I don't understand these people's faith. I don't know how they can die and be rejected at heaven's gate and still believe in something greater. I don't understand, but I'm entirely grateful. I come to every service because it gives me hope. Hope that someday we will experience salvation.
How many people here have been damned by the Lord?
Ah!
We've all been damned. Whatever has led you here is in the past. Your life is behind you, but your death reaches out in front of you for all eternity. Your existence is not over, so do not act like it is. Life was but one chapter in the book of existence. Here, we have opportunity to grow and learn. Death is not the end of you, and neither is damnation. Life is an illusion. Death is an illusion. Damnation is an illusion. The Creator is an illusion.
Amen, amen.
We are not evil for being here. No, sir. Our hearts are full of love, full of compassion. You think that big man in the sky made the golden rule? Hell no. We did. We the people. If we want to love our neighbors as ourselves, we gotta love ourselves first, don't we? We gotta have some self-respect. Some of us are here just too self-respecting to get down on our knees and praise a hateful God. To praise the God who hardened Pharaoh's heart, to praise the God who sent plagues just to make a damn point, to praise the God who forced Judas to do his dirty work for him. We don't need that God. We have our own gods. We must continue to honor them through the ages and trust that they will come to our aid.
Kali, Sekhmet, Ishtar, Hecate, Izanami no Mikoto, Morrigan, Tiamat, Frigg, Nemesis, Maat, Mami Wata, Minerva, Brigid, Lakshmi, Milda, Samson, Harmony, Shams.
As the names are read, people gradually start to disperse. People start chattering with their friends quietly, commenting on the service. Lucy begins to stand up. Suddenly, the lights change. A sound effect of a crash and yelling plays, and all the people act as if they have experienced a shockwave. As a result, Lucy falls back down. There is the general clamor of terror and chaos. Beelzebub appears from the chaos and runs to Lucy.
It's Lilith. She has fallen.
Lucy gets up and runs in the direction of the crash. Beelzebub runs after her.
Wait, she's injured. Do not harm her. She can't help herself. Please.
A winged creature, Lilith, falls from the sky screaming. Mid-fall, it drops the half-eaten body of a child. Lucy appears with a whip. There is an altercation between Lilith and Lucy. Lucy defeats Lilith. Lilith is engulfed by flames. She screams and disappears. The people have all left, and Martin stands on the stage alone. He is pale and looks clammy. His hands tremble, and he stares out blankly.
What is this place? Why am I here? I thought I was a good Christian. Hell, I thought I was a good person. Hell. Hell? I never imagined before what that word really meant. Hell. God help me. This place is too much. One moment, things seem all right. Maybe even good. And then it returns. The terror of hell. Terror. Such terror. I've been to its depths. I stood outside Niflheim and I wanted to go in. I wanted to go in. I wanted to. But I didn't. I wanted a world without you, Lord, because I can't understand. Why have you allowed this? Why have you fostered the terror of hell? Not even the worst human being deserves this. Not even that thing that fell all hairy and covered in blood. That thing that came down with broken wings and a half-eaten child in its arms. That thing Miss Lucy beat and cursed and threw down into the room of long spoons. The 5th level of hell where they sit around the stew pot that smells so wonderful, but they all starve for lack of compassion and common sense. And I don't understand her. She's not the devil I was told of. She's not been cruel to me. Rather, she's been accommodating. She didn't have to show me hell. She didn't have to explain things to me. She didn't have to take my hand and get to know me. I know Satan better than I know you, my God, my Father. She hasn't lied to me. She has shown me the truth, though her methods are questionable. She's kind in her own way, intelligent, knowledgeable, understanding. She doesn't place herself on a pedestal. She is feared and loved, but not like you. She won't allow her people to worship her. She knows that kind of behavior is beneath her. And yet, why was she so cruel to that thing? Why was she so angered? I've never seen that kind of anger. I don't understand.
Lucy wiping her hands with a bloody rag. Martin stares at her. She looks up.
Oh, you. I'd forgotten you. I suppose you have questions.
I don't know where to start.
Her name's Lilith. She's my daughter. I created her here in hell after I lost Eve. She's nothing like Eve, I know that. But I tried to make her beautiful, unique. But the dirt is of ash, and the water is of tears, and nothing beautiful can come of this place. Still, I breathed life into her, and I thought if I loved her enough and taught her what I knew, she might be all right. I was wrong. Of course, and I should have seen the signs, but I refused to tame her. I wanted freedom for her. I wanted her to have a mother who cared for her, but who would not oppress her. And so when Beelzebub warned me to do something about her behavior, I refused. When she was grown, she discovered a way out. Who was I to stop her from escaping hell? How could I demand that she stay away when I'd give my whole being to leave? And so I allowed her departure, only to discover through word of mouth that she had developed an appetite for children. A disgusting pastime, horrible and evil, but it makes sense. God put enmity between me and woman, and between me and her progeny. It should only make sense that enmity exists between her progeny and mine. She's come and gone throughout the ages, and each time she returns by the words of a priest and a little holy water. Then I throw her deeper into hell, and each time she escapes, for she is of hell and knows it even better than I. I wish I could purge her of evil, but it is her way, it is her very nature, and it would kill her.
Then why don't you kill her?
It has occurred to me, but I cannot kill my own child. I love her still. Surely you understand?
I do. What do you mean you lost Eve?
I meant exactly what I said. I lost Eve.
But she was never yours. God created her.
Yes, God created her, but she was my own kind and the only other of my kind too.
How was that?
In whose image did God make Adam?
Himself?
And in whose image did he make Eve?
Oh. Tell me how it happened.
It's a long story, Martin. And after what's happened, I hardly have the strength to tell it.
Tell it, Lucifer. We certainly need it. It's been a long while since you have, and we need it on today of all days.
Very well, brother. But I will need help in the telling.
A man and a woman come forward and stand on either side of Lucy.
In the beginning, there was God, and God created the universe. He doted on earth and gave it life. First, a man. Adam was his favorite, so God gave him all he could ever want. Adam wanted a slave. God supplied. I was so proud when my Abba made another being like me, for I was the only female in heaven or anywhere else, and I wanted a little sister. So I went down to be with her an afternoon. I was appalled by what I saw.
Lucy
He
approaches
had been given free will, just like the rest of us. But Adam forbid her use of it for even the simplest matters. She could not speak louder than him, could not contradict him, could not be out of his sight, and most certainly could not share company with anyone apart from her master. I confronted God, asked him to do something.
Eve was just fulfilling her purpose.
I asked what sort of a purpose was that? And why would he use my image of all images to create such a creature?
He thought it was fitting. He thought seeing how Lucy's image was beautiful and likely to please Adam, and that since her purpose and Eve's were identical, it was appropriate.
I asked what he meant by that.
Lucy's purpose was only to amuse God.
I was troubled. My brothers had fine purposes, to defend heaven, to make up the heavenly host, but not I. I was his fool. My questions became more urgent, more angry.
God got tired of Lucy. She did not amuse him any longer. He told her to leave heaven. She was not wanted.
What happened next was my first step to damnation. A word began to form in my mouth that had not reached my heart and my mind. Its shape was strange to me and unknown to any, never uttered before. I hardly understood myself as I croaked out that strange and new single-syllable word. I said, "No!" God did not understand. I did not understand. But I said it again and again and again. I gained confidence each time I said it as I slowly began to realize its meaning. The whole power and force of the word resonated throughout my ethereal existence, and I stormed to the courtyard and spoke it aloud. No! My perfect brothers turned from me in a horror, but some heard me. I don't know how these feelings came from God's perfection unless God made mistakes in us. And if God can make mistakes, it stands to reason that God is not perfect. And if God is not perfect, he must also be a liar and a hypocrite, since he insists that he is perfect. A small group of us assembled, and though we had put our courage to the sticking point, and our force of anger was beyond any ever experienced, our task of taking over heaven proved insurmountable. We fell. We woke up in a nightmare. They blamed me for damning them and would have torn me to pieces if not for Beelzebub.
What fools you are to kill her after the deed. I mean, she led us into hell, and now she must take us back. A punishment must be advantageous, for we are in urgent need of leadership and guidance. You shall serve hell till the end and lead us to paradise, for by you we have lost it, and by you we shall regain it.
I consented to take up this charge and only requested one thing: aid in my attempt to rescue Eve. We climbed those mountains and broke open the gate of hell and ascended to earth. I ran on foot to Eden and found Eve. I bid her eat the fruit of knowledge and leave with me. She saw my form was same as hers and trusted me. She ate, and her eyes were opened. Only she would not leave without Adam. She insisted when he had also obtained knowledge, he would regret his previous behavior and all would be well. She loved him, foolish girl. I protested. But as time wore on, I became panicked that God would come down and relented. Adam did not have the revelation Eve had hoped for. He instead became violent and angry to a degree never before experienced on earth. He demanded jealously that she clothe herself, and he himself did the same, saying she had made him wretched and ashamed. Desperately, I tried to take her away from that place, but Adam took hold of her. She bid me leave without her, but I could not. I struck Adam.
God came down.
His glory blinded the man and woman, and I stood trembling in terror.
And when Adam told his version of the story, God was outraged. He dealt first with Eve, inflicting her and her daughters with painful burdens of womanhood in a man's world.
And I was degraded to some slithering thing. I writhed and called out as the scales cut through me. But the worst of all, he put enmity between me and the woman. Eve looked down on me with such hatred. She stomped at me with her heel, and God laughed. I tried to flee, but I had no legs to walk on. I slithered away miserably on my belly. I returned to hell and never saw Eve again. My own form, my sister, and all her female progeny, who should have been free forever to be abused by God and the sons of Adam, forever powerless.
Martin takes Lucy's hand. He begins as though he has something to say. He is interrupted by the sound of an alarm. A demon storms in wildly.
Angel, angel, angel on the mountain, one of heaven's own, Queen Lucy, save us!
White light full blast on the stage. All but Lucy and Beelzebub look away, shielding their eyes. Lucy grabs a weapon and takes a defensive position, snarling.
Whoa, Lucy! How you doing? What's with the sword? Don't you know your own brother?
I know the messenger of the Lord who serves heaven and enslaves himself, Gabriel.
Why so formal? You've always just called me Gabe.
I'm sorry. It's been a while since we were on nickname terms.
My apologies, Lady of Darkness, Ruler of the Dead, Tormentor of Souls. How you doing?
I would do well if you would go forth from whence you came. It is not the time of reckoning, and I don't desire your company.
Ouch. You haven't missed me at all.
You are a soldier of heaven.
Technically, I'm just the telegram boy.
What do you want?
I'm looking for a Martin O'Hara.
What could you possibly want with a damned businessman?
Well, that's the thing. He's not damned.
What?
What?
Looks like somebody screwed up the paperwork. He's on the list for heaven. I'm here to take him home.
But the environment.
Dad's going to destroy it all in a few millennia anyway. He's calling it Project Climate Change. So we're making an exception for good Catholics like O'Hara.
I see. So Dad's still the hypocrite he ever was.
So you say.
And what do you say, Gabe?
It's not my place.
You're in hell, Gabriel. Nobody's watching. So what do you say?
Fine. I'd rather not say.
Then you do think God is a hypocrite?
I didn't say that.
Sometimes silence is louder than words.
You are a piece of work. You know that?
Gabriel gives Beelzebub a big man hug. Beelzebub is clearly uncomfortable.
Beelzebub, little bro! I haven't seen you since the flood.
Hello, Gabe.
So, Martin O'Hara, do you have him?
I'm here.
We're so sorry, Mr. O'Hara, for the mix-up. I'm here to take you back upstairs. Are you ready?
Martin appears uncertain. Lucy grabs Martin's arm.
Don't go. You belong here, Martin. You know you do. You're one of us. You've seen hell. You've heard my telling of the beginning. Here, you are free. In heaven, you will always be a slave. That's all you ever were. You are an amusement to him. You're not his child. He has only enough love for the Trinity.
It's already been decided, Lucy.
He has free will. God's decisions have no power here. Martin, the dawn is coming. The tree will bloom and you can eat the fruit and they will never be able to take you away.
Mr. O'Hara! We really should go.
Martin?
Martin looks back at Lucy and the surrounding people and demons. He turns back to Gabriel and shrugs off Lucy's hand.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Martin takes Gabriel's arm and they start climbing the mountain.
I'll catch you later, sis.
No. We cannot afford to aggravate heaven. You have to let him go.
Martin? Martin! Will you send a message for me? When you see Eve, will you tell her? Will you tell her I love her? Martin, will you tell her I'm coming? I'm coming to free her and all souls in heaven. Martin! Say you will tell her? Martin!
Martin and Gabriel disappear from view. Beelzebub releases Lucy.
You will see them again. And Eve. Someday we will rise and we will forge from ourselves new wings. Since the fire has consumed the wings that we already had and burned them to nothing, we will make new wings out of that same fire. Time is coming. The horseman has already saddled her mare.
Where is she now?
I don't know. She said she was going to Wuhan, but I haven't heard anything from her since.
I wish we could do this without them.
I know.
I don't want to destroy the earth.
I know, but you took an oath. You promised you would save us from the Creator. And what must be done, it must be done. Pestilence must ride. And then war, and then famine, and then death.
Can we really trust them?
The horsemen are on no one's side. They've just been promised to ride from the beginning, and they have waited patiently, just as we have.
We will wait no more. Call a war council. I want all the first fallen there. And send for Daedalus. We're going to need wings.